All right, this is a video on simplifying fractions. Simplifying fractions just is a way of rewriting the fraction with the smallest numerator, which is the top number, and the denominator. So let's look at the visual representation of simplifying 3/6. So this is 3/6. See it right here. And what I want to do when I'm simplifying is just, instead of having 3 pieces, I want to have less than 3 pieces. So I have 3 right here. I want to have it fewer. So if you look at 3/6 is the same as 1/2. So if I was going to simplify 3/6, I would make my fraction sandwich and see that 3/6 is the same as 1/2. Okay. So this is a visual representation of it. Now, this is it should remind you of equivalent fractions, which there is another video on if you'd like to review that. But equivalent fractions, what we do is we just find out different fractions with the different number of pieces, but the amount of, notice how this is 1/2, this is 3/6, right? The amount doesn't change, it's still the same size, it's just cut into more pieces. This is just, we see it's 1 tile, but the bottom one is just the same amount cut into 3 parts instead of 1 part. So if I was going to simplify this, remember before when we were doing equivalent fractions, we either times or divide the top and the bottom number. So here it looks like if I took the top, I'd say 3, it looks like it gets smaller, so I know I'm going to divide it by. So 3 divided by what equals 1? Well, I know 3 divided by 3 equals 1. And whatever I do to the top, I have to do the bottom. So I'm going to divide 6 divided by 3. Now remember, you say how many 3's are in 6? 3, 6. So that's 2. So that's how they got 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2 if you did it with math. Now I want to go further into that with the next problem. So the next problem, I'm not going to use visuals. Okay, I'm just going to do the same problem, but I'm going to simplify it with factors. Now, you'll remember factor rainbows. Whenever we talk about factors, we always would do factor rainbows. There is a video on factor rainbows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find all the factors of 3. So I always start with 1. I say 1 times 3 equals 3. That would be the first part of my rainbow. Whoops, just touch that. I wanted to get red because rainbows always seem to start with red. Okay, so I have the first arch, and now I try to do a second arch. 2 times what equals 3? Well, nothing. So this right here, interesting, it's a prime number, and this only has 1 arch, or 1 factor pair. So 1 times 3 is 3. Those are the factors. Now let's find the factors of 6. So I'm going to always start with 1. 1 times 6 equals 6. So that would be red. And now the number that comes after 1 is 2. I'm going to try 2. 2, 4, 6. Oh, that works. So I'm going to say that 2 times 3 equals 6. So this is another factor pair. Now, do you see that? So now I have all the factors, and all I'm going to do in order to figure out what factor goes into both of these numbers, I made my factor rainbows, and I noticed that, oh, it looks like 3 right here. They both, the largest number they have in common, the largest factor they have in common is 3. So with that, in order to find an equivalent fraction to 3/6, I'm going to divide out 3. So I'm going to divide the top number by 3, the numerator by 3, and the denominator by 3, because those are both factors of those numbers. And the reason why I can do this is, remember before that we know whenever we have a numerator and the denominator that are the same, it's really dividing it by 1 whole. And we know we can divide any number by itself and get the same amount. So even though this is going to be cut into more pieces, this will be the same amount. It'll still be 1/2. Okay. So now I'm going to go 3 divided by 3 is 1, like we did before. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. So that's a better visual representation, well, better representation of the factor rainbows and finding how to simplify a fraction with factors. So this is pretty cool if you don't have manipulatives. Let me do another one. Now, you could solve this with a shortcut where you find the factors, but you don't actually do the factor rainbow. What you're going to do is, the first thing you might always want to try when you get a fraction is look at the numerator and see if the numerator goes into the denominator. Is 4 a factor of 12? So I say 4, 8, 12. So if 4 is a factor of 12, you know that's the largest factor that goes into both of them. So this is way shorter. You don't have to do the factor rainbow, but a lot of times the top number does not go into the bottom number. So if 4 does go into, does go into 12, I'm just going to, whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to divide the top numerator and the denominator by that factor. Because we know 4 over 4 is equal to 1 whole. Okay. So then all I'm going to do is say how many 4s are in 4, and that would be 1. And how many 4s are in 3, so how many 4s are in 12, that would be 4, 8, 12, that would be 3. Okay, so if I wanted to simplify 4 12s, I could find the common factor, the largest common factor, and I'd get 1/3. So 1/3 is the same amount as 4 12ths. It's an equivalent fraction. It just has less pieces. This would have 1 piece. This would have more. 4. Okay. Now, let's try to do this one. So this is what I meant. So if you want to try the shortcut, how many 6s are in 8? 6, 12. See, that doesn't work. So we're going to have to use our factor rainbows again. So I'm going to find all the factors of 6 first, and then I'll find all the factors of 8. Okay. So I say, okay, I always start with 1. I know 1 times 6 is 6. That's easy. And that's 1 arch of the factor rainbow. And I'm going to try 2. What, 2 times 3 works? And then I'm done because there's no whole number in between 2 and 3. Okay, but I don't know which one largest factor they have in common. So now I have to do the factor rainbow for 8. So I say 1 times 8 is 8. So I have 1 arch. Now I'm going to try 2. 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, that's 4. So I have 2 times 4. Okay, and that's my next rainbow arch. And I'm going to try 3. 3, 6, 9. Hey, I didn't say 8, so 3 is not a factor of 8. And then I go right back to 4, so I'm done. So wow, the largest factor they have in common is the 2. It's crazy because that's not very big, right? But that is the largest one they have in common. So because of that, I'm going to take 6/8 and I'm just going to divide out of 2. So I have 6/8, and I'm going to divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. So then I say, how many 2s are in 6? Remember, when we're dividing, we go the opposite direction. How many 2s are in 6? 2, 4, 6. That's 3, so the top number is 3. And how many 2s are in 8? 2, 4, 6, 8. That would be 4. And now I have my simplified fraction. So 3/4 is the same value as 6/8. This is just divided into more pieces than this one. This would have 3 pieces, this would have 6. Okay? And remember, the reason why I can do this is because Whenever we have a fraction where the numerator and the denominator are the same, we know that's equal to 1 whole, and we know that if ever we divide a number by 1, we get itself. So that's why this works. I hope that helps.